Your Gintu is now unstoppable, and today's discussion we are going to discuss about how the court exposed a weak case against him and why the law ultimately protected Gintu and why the abuse of courts actually always backfires. So ladies and gentlemen, today I want us to sit down calmly, without noise, without propaganda, without fear, and without intimidation, and talk about facts. So for those who are coming across this YouTube channel for the first time, make sure that you subscribe, like, share to other people, and remember to watch these videos to the end, turn on the notification bell, and don't skip the ads. So for those who are coming across it for the first time, I do different vlogs about village life, lifestyle, commentary, reaction videos where I do my own analysis. So today's video is not a hate video. It is not an emotional video. This is a legal analysis video. I want us to talk about Gintu. I want us to talk about Mura. And most importantly, I want to talk about what the court decided and what that decision means going forward. Because when a case is filed in court and the case is thrown out, it is not just a small thing. It sends a very powerful legal message. So, to begin with the basics, because when I'm talking about something like this, let me just take us back how things actually were. Mura took Gintu to court. Mura accused Gintu of stalking and harassment. Those were serious allegations. When you accuse someone of stalking, you are telling the court that this person followed you unlawful. This person intimidated you. This person invaded your privacy. This person caused fear. So these are not light accusations. These are accusations that can send someone to jail. But in law, accusations are not enough. In law, evidence is everything. And that is where this case collapsed. So, the court looked at the evidences, the court examined the claims, the court asked very simple questions. Where is the proof? Where is the pattern of harassment? Where is the unlawful conduct? Where is the criminal intent? And the court found nothing sufficient. No strong evidence, no convincing proof, no legal basis to convict. And because of that, the court had no option but to throw the case out. This is not favorism. This is not politics. This is how the law really works. When there is no evidence, the court must let the accused go. That is exactly what happened. Okay, now listen very carefully. There is a huge difference between suing, we call it to sue somebody or someone and winning, and when you sue someone and losing. Because when you sue someone and win, the court restricts them. The court limits them. The court punishes them. But when you sue someone and you lose, especially because your case had no substance, you actually empower the person you accuse. That's why today's topic, I'm talking about Gintu is now unstoppable. That is the reality. Right now, Gintu is operating within the law. Gintu is operating within his jurisdiction, and because the court dismissed the case, there is nothing Mura can legally do to stop him? Nothing. No intimidation, no threats, no police games, no backdoor tactics. And as long as Gintu respects the law, he is protected by the same law. So for those who thought like now that Mura will still be using the same police, you know, even the policemen are now like, what the hell did we do? Because we arrested this guy because the boss, yeah, demanded them to do that. They were bribed to do that. And now the guy is now free. So, you know, now let us talk about Nyabuhanse. Many people watching everything that is happening there have started believing something very dangerous, that they believe that Kenya has no laws. They see police arrest without clear cause. They see intimidation. They see alleged bribery. They see people being targeted. And because of that, they conclude that the law does not work. But let me correct that lie right now, because even tomorrow's video or today's evening video, because now it is just somehow very early in the morning, yeah. Today I'm going to get an individual by the name Abobo. There is a YouTube channel called Abobo. This guy started well about content creation, but because of the allegedly bribery and all those allegations, Abobo had to step back. He was intimidated. The police were manipulated. The police were bribed by Priska Sagati, because there is no case about that. When I go to Priska, I don't know, former husband, just to do a willing interview with him, then I upload that video. Then you want to tell me that Priska Sagati now comes there yapping, go to police station that to tell them to come and arrest me. Remember, my point is, the husband did that willingly. I never forced the husband. So that is what Priska Sagati was using against Abobo. You know? Because of that intimidation, even the family of Abobo actually came up, so that actually they told Abobo, relax, don't do more content and do this instead. The guy was really intimidated. The guy was actually, he has a lot of fear. And because of that, now people conclude that the law does not work. And Abobo himself had to pull down that video, because the police were bribed. They wanted to arrest him. The family had to sit down and conclude this matter. So let me tell Priska Sagati that Kenya has law. Strong laws, clear laws. If you think you are a superwoman who will be going round, intimidating individuals, that is not the way the law works. Don't think that you're going to put the policeman in your pocket. We won't accept such intimidations that you want to bring. We have, okay, don't want to say that. This problem is not the absence of law. The problem is that people are refusing to follow the law. So that is why even some people are now choosing some shortcuts. Some people choose bribes. Some people choose intimidations instead of legal process. Let us talk something on bribery and intimidation. You cannot tell me that Gintu tried to bribe anyone. That is a big no. That is not true, because I've seen some reactors saying that. When all know that who will benefit from seeing Gintu jail, and it is not Gintu. What this situation has shown us is very simple. In some local areas, people think they can intimidate anyone. They think money can solve everything. They think police can be influenced. But once you step outside that small space that we call Nyabuhansi village, it is within that village that people are allegedly of bribing the police. But once you step your foot outside Nyabuhansi, the likes of Izibania, the likes of other towns, Migori, once you meet people who cannot be bribed, once you face real legal scrutiny, everything backfires. And the likes of Mura, the likes of Priska Sagati, the likes of Lady J, who think that they're above the law. Let me tell you that you are not above the law. This reminds me even a day that, me and Priska Sagati, okay, she doesn't even know me. There is a time I met her in the hospital. You are sick, you have gone to the hospital, then instead of following the guidelines and everything that the hospital is telling you that you are supposed to be admitted, he was there up and down doing this, that put me some drip, I don't know, let me just, we call it, let me admitted. In the next second, no, I can't be admitted, let me admit. He was there confused, distracting people, I don't know, she never even knew what she needed. At the end of that discussion, she was admitted and she never wanted to be admitted. So that is something that, and very funny, it is now in the YouTube stream that even people now, when they go to even hospitals, they do videos that are, because at the end of the day, supporters will be giving them sympathy that they are sick, let me support them. That is how YouTube street nowadays work. Because she knew very well that if I'm not admitted, if I just go maybe get some injection, I won't get those support that I was supposed to. But when they hear that I'm admitted, money will be flowing through my account. Let me tell you that you are a troublemaker, not the victim. At that moment, you realized something painful. Leaving that aside, let me now tell us why the law ultimately protected Gintu and why the abuse of courts always backfires. Because, let me ask very simple questions. Why would anyone take a weak case to the court? Why would someone file a case knowing very well that there is no solid evidence? The answer is simple. Some people don't want justice. They want intimidation. And that case was there just to intimidate Gintu, to see him like somebody who they can do anything against him. Let me tell you, after that ruling from the court, you saw what Gintu said? He can now do the development in the community without restriction, without nothing. So that alone means that Gintu is going to be unstoppable. People believe that just filing a case will scare someone. They believe court appearance alone are punishment. But that is not the reality of how things really work. But the courts are not tools for fear. Courts are institutions for truth. When you take a non-existent case to court, you are wasting judicial time, public money, court resources, and the courts do not like that. That is why judges dismiss such cases quickly. not emotional, not political, but legally. Let me highlight something that people have to know. We have some cases that we call the civil cases, and we have some cases that we call the criminal cases. So that means civil cases versus criminal cases. Let us be very clear, because many people confuse the two. Not every case is criminal. Some of these cases filed against Gintu was civil in nature. They needed some civil servant to tackle those cases, not to take them to the court. Civil cases are about disputes, claims, damages, and disagreements. Criminal cases are about crimes, harm to society, punishment by the state. You cannot just come to the camera and tell us that this case was Kenya against, I don't know, Gintu. And you know very well this was a civil case. You cannot turn a civil disagreement into a criminal weapon just because you want someone arrested. That is why you saw cases being thrown out like that. The court actually looked at them and said, this does not meet criminal standards. And once that happened, there is no comeback. There is no any comeback. And that intimidation failed. So some people thought that they could use pressure. Because pressure through rumors, pressure through police, pressure through fear. But intimidation only works when systems are weak. Once a case reaches a real courtroom, pressure actually disappears. Only evidence remains. And that is where everything collapsed. You know, the same Gintu's case made Mura even not to travel outside Kenya, because you could not travel outside Kenya and yet you have some cases. So Mura saw it that this case is now like, come this day, no, let us meet this one. Another session, actually we can't meet today, let us meet December. So with these things, Mura saw that this is becoming too much. If I can bribe for if I can actually do some bribing to this case can even be handled in the next 2 years. They will be just keeping dates, and when I want to travel, I won't travel. So let me just not even force issues here. Let me just let it go. You know, I came to realize that Mura himself, he saw that this is even wastage of time. I'm not moving, traveling, I'm not doing anywhere, because I know back in my head that this date I have to go to the court. So nothing at all. And that is where everything collapsed. Outside Nyabohansi, you meet people who cannot be bribed, cannot be threatened, cannot be pressured. That is why the strategy failed. Instead of silencing Gintu, they amplified him. Instead of weakening him, we call it legitimized him. So my big question that I'm going to ask actually is this: why intimidation failed? Some people thought they could use pressure through rumors, pressure through the police, pressure through fear, but intimidation only works when the system are weak. And once a case reaches a courtroom, that is why I told us that no more pressure. So big lesson for Kenyan is this: Let me speak directly to Kenyans. Kenyans has law, Kenya has courts, Kenya has procedures. The problem is not the law. The problem is people are refusing to respect it. You cannot ignore due process and then complain when you lose. You cannot skip evidence and expect convictions. And you cannot weaponize institutions without consequences. What happened here is a lesson for everyone. The law may be slow, it may be expensive, but the law is precise, and precision beats noise every single time. So, let me end with this. Gintu is not unstoppable because of the power, is not unstoppable because of the money. He is unstoppable because the case against him had no legal foundation. The court did its job, and once the court speaks, that chapter is closed. As long as Gintu operates within the law, there is no intimidation that can stop him. And to anyone thinking of misusing the system, remember this: when you abuse the law eventually exposes you. Not loudly, not emotionally, but officially. And that exposure is permanent. Goodbye.